In the United States of America alone, more than 500,000 people go missing every year. In the year 2018, 612,846 new people were registered as missing. Some are cases of misadventure. An unconfirmed number proved to be cases of slavery and sex trafficking. Others are cases of violent crime. Thankfully, the majority of missing persons return, and some are later found. However, approximately 15%, around 90,000 each year, remain unexplained.
Year after year, thousands of people go missing just in America's national parks. In fact, the figure is so disturbing that the park authorities are told not to keep a record of them. And I'm not talking about people who wandered off the path and got lost. I'm talking about people who are in the middle of a conversation, in the middle of a baseball game, and all of a sudden, one of them vanishes. Now, we have no mythology or science to account for that. So I'm with Monsignor Balducci and John Mack in saying that what they have encountered merits far more serious study than has been given to the phenomenon.
One fascinating aspect of the Book of Enoch is that of the extraterrestrial being Uriel, who tutors Enoch with an education in the cosmos, speaking of humanity's place in the universe, the astronomical home of the powerful ones, and the workings of the solar system. This motif of advanced knowledge being imparted by people from the stars is a theme that can be found in other indigenous narratives, and sometimes with surprising proofs of their claims. Is the theme of advanced knowledge purely fiction? Is it a cover for prehistoric genius, an insight that is purely human? And why does the theme of humans being tutored by higher beings recur so widely among Earth's indigenous cultures? Is it possible that insight into these questions might be gained by listening to the experience of those who have claimed contact with extraterrestrials, including those like the young lady in Anloga, Ghana, who claimed to have lived for 3 years among the Mamiwata people? Might there be a link between their experiences, the legend of Oannes and the Apkallu, and the giant leap forward experienced by humanity in the distant past? The Book of Enoch tells a story that seems foreign to Western ears. With its reference to a non-human population resident on Earth, it appears at odds with the familiar stories of our mainstream religions. But to people like the Dogon tribe of Mali, with their memory of friends from the Sirius star system, or the Cherokee people of North America, with their memories of people from the Pleiades, or people from African and Caribbean cultures familiar with Mamiwata, many of its themes were strangely familiar. Those who had brought reports of contact with the Mamiwata people and other returnees around the world may find comfort knowing that this generation is not the first to claim abduction by a non-human presence on planet Earth. If we can learn to listen with respect to our mythologies and to the stories of those who claim to be contactees and returnees, what new insights might we then gain about humanity's place in the cosmos? The Qumran Caves on the northern shore of the Dead Sea. It was in caves hidden in these Judean mountains that an ancient religious community hid its precious archives of papyrus scrolls and manuscripts. In 1947, a shepherd throwing rocks was surprised by the sound of a breaking pot. When he investigated, he realized he'd stumbled upon an incredible treasure trove of ancient texts. Between 800 and 900 manuscripts have since been recovered, among them some of the most important historic and religious texts ever found. Among them, the Book of Enoch. The earliest version of the Book of Enoch is the Ethiopian book. Ethiopia is home to the one church communion that accepts the Book of Enoch within the canon of the Bible. The Ethiopian book comprises the Book of Watchers, the Parables of Enoch, the Astronomical Book or the Book of Luminaries, the Book of Dreams, and the Epistle of Enoch. Many of its themes echo the aspirations and concerns of many of the Hebrew Scriptures, but other themes occur within its pages that are more unusual. The current scrolls date from the 3rd to the 1st century BCE. The source of their narratives and their authorship remain a mystery.
The book is attributed to Enoch, but that doesn't settle the question of its authorship, because just as the historic Moses didn't necessarily write all the books of Moses, or the prophet Isaiah didn't necessarily write all the books of Isaiah, so the authorship of the book of Enoch remains a bit of a mystery.
Scholars believe the Qumran community to have been home to the Essenes, a secretive monastic community, and the caves in the Judean mountains, their high-security archive.
The evidence is that the Qumran community was part of the movement of Essenes, which was a monastic-style community at that time, and you can see why they would have loved the book. There are many themes that would have been important to them, but there's a section in chapters 85 to 90 of prophetic texts, and many people read them as prophesying the advent of various tribes and empires, and then they appear to foretell the advent of the Essenes themselves, and then Jesus of Nazareth, and then the 12 apostles of Christianity. And it wasn't only the Essenes who held this book in high regard. Many of the early church fathers quoted from this book freely, and they referred to it as to scripture. That would include writers like Tertullian, Justin Martyr, Origen, Clement of Alexandria, all referring to this as if it were part of their canon.
Given the high regard in which the book was held in ancient times, what was it about the book's contents that made it so controversial that it had to be excluded from the official canons? In chapters 1 to 36, we read the Book of Watchers. It details contact between entities from off-planet and human beings. Some of that contact is benign and nurtures the emergence of human society. The Watchers teach the humans how to cultivate crops, how to use medicine and other healing modalities. The Watchers teach metal technology and introduce the humans to adornments, jewelry, and makeup.
That aspect of off-planet people, the Watchers coming and teaching Homo sapiens how to farm and to build a civilization, that marks the Book of Enoch out as very different to the books that we find within the canon of the Bible. But it is not a unique story. That narrative repeats in mythologies all around the world. You can find it in Native American mythology, Mayan, Zulu, Babylonian. All make the claim that in our prehistoric past there was an intervention. People from off-planet came and nurtured the human race as a conscious, intelligent, technological species and gave us the building blocks of civilization. But though that narrative has been allowed to remain in indigenous mythologies all around the world, it seems that that admission of a wider ET family was an admission that the Jewish and Christian religious authorities were not willing to make.
Of all the lessons given by the Watchers, one that concerns much of the Book of Enoch is the lesson in astronomy.
This is another aspect in which Enoch differs from the other Jewish texts. Astronomy, or astrology, which were all part of the same thing at that time, not favorably looked upon in the Bible, but it's there as a theme in Enoch. Again, where there's a point of difference from the other Jewish writings, Enoch finds correlations in other world mythologies. The moment you listen to other world mythologies, you hear the same notes. Mayan astronomy is a byword for sophistication. Egyptian, Sumerian, think about the Dogon people with their knowledge of the Sirius star system. In Enoch, we're told about the movement of the moon around the earth around the sun, the fact that the moon reflects the sun's light, the nature of eclipses and the cycles of the moon. How was the writer shown that? Did he see it in the flesh? Did he physically travel? Was it through an altered state of consciousness? Was he shown textbooks? Was it a remote viewing? By the time we're in the late chapters of the Book of Enoch, the suggestions are there that it was all of those.
Among its most explosive claims is the book's account of the abduction of human females by 200 of the Watchers. Their offspring are described as giants. The name the book of Genesis gives them is Nephilim. Greek legend calls them the Titans, and mythologies all around the world tell their own versions of this intriguing episode. Writing in the 1st century of the Common Era, the Jewish historian Josephus refers to the ancestral memory of human abductions and hybridization unpacked by the Book of Enoch.
Josephus refers to that as history, and he points to the existence of giants in his own time as material evidence of that ancient intervention.